Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky, about to head back to Chicago. And then after that, I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. for the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, which I support entirely, wholeheartedly. I support Farrakhan and what he's doing with the march. The interesting thing about that is that I feel that there are a lot of people who are seeking to erase Farrakhan's legacy in the African American community, and I can't support that at all. I think that what Farrakhan has done for Black people has been extraordinary and unique. With that being said, I want you to also know that on October 9th, we are going to be there a day early at Howard University in the Business School Auditorium at 6 p.m. on October 9th for the Black Wealth Matters Forum. And that's the hashtag, Black Wealth Matters. I'm doing this with Ryan Mack with Operation Hope. Michael Emotep at the African History Network is the moderator. We got another panel, an exciting panel of interesting people who can talk about the legacy of Black wealth in America and the importance of Black wealth as the next step in the civil rights movement. So if you're at the march, you're in D.C., come on out, and I'd love to get a chance to talk to you, meet you face to face. Now, here's what I want to talk about real quick. Reverend Jeremiah Wright, another guy that I respect. I think Jeremiah Wright is a great man. Now, I don't know how popular that is because he contrasts with another great man, which is President Barack Obama. I think a lot of people love Barack Obama because he's the president. That's pretty much what leads them to love him so much, right? He's the president. He's got the swag. He's got the beautiful family. But most people who love him can't really point to a lot of political advancements for Black people that have occurred as a result of his presidency. So what happens is if you love Black people and you care about the state of the Black community, then you might have issues with President Obama. Now, me personally, I love Obama. In terms of, I respect what he's accomplished. I think it's great. He's got enough white people to vote for him that he got to get into the White House, which comes with a lot of complexities. It's something to brag about to a point. But at the same time, I'll never be president. I will never try to be president. I am not trying to get that many white people to like me because we live in a racist society where getting white folks to like you that much means sometimes abandoning Black people and putting Black people under the bus. So when I look at Obama, I don't see it as a good or bad thing. I don't see it as him being a bad person. I just see it as a conflict of interest. Your interest is in getting to the White House. My interest is in supporting Black people, and that's kind of where the line gets drawn. So Jeremiah Wright, another person who I think is one of the most legendary, most impactful, most authentic African Americans in history. He made some interesting comments recently that you can actually read on breakingbrown.com, Yvette Carnell's blog. And basically, he said that my daughter and granddaughter call him our Halfrican-American president, half with an H, get it, half, right? He doesn't want to talk about reparations. Wright said, it's not personal responsibility. It's not pull your pants up. Don't get on Fox News and lecture Black men. You're missing the point. Let's talk about white on Black crime. Until we have a hard dialogue, it's all going to be superficial. Kumbaya We Shall Overcome. So that's the quote. I think it's a great quote. I'm reading literally every sentence fragment of that quote, or every piece of a sentence of that quote, and it's inspiring thoughts every step of the way. What I will say is I'll just point to a couple of things here. I certainly agree with what he's saying about lecturing Black men and going on Fox News. I never understood why President Obama even acknowledges individuals like Bill O'Reilly, who's basically an arrogant racist who says things to get attention. And for some reason, we have to cater to their ignorance. But you don't really see white people going out of their way to cater to our lowest common denominator, to cater to ignorant Black people. But we have been trained to do that. We've been trained to believe that a man like Bill O'Reilly has relevance because he's got a lot of viewers or a lot of money or a lot of power. And I just don't think that's I don't think that's a smart way to live your life. The other thing he says is really interesting is he talks about this whole idea of lecturing Black men. If you look at Obama's track record of the last 8 years, he spent a whole lot more time lecturing Black people on what we're doing wrong than he spent lecturing white people on what they're doing wrong to Black people. If you watch what I say and listen to what I talk about, you hear me lecture Black people all the time. I do lectures 2 or 3 times a week with the Black Wealth Boot Camp, Black Wealth Academy, all that stuff. And I'm always lecturing black people. I'm always saying, step your game up. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Let's make this happen. I do that constantly. But here's the thing. Here's the interesting differential. And this is what I think people should pay attention to. I'm not afraid to lecture white people too. I will tell the white man about the horrible things he's done to black people. I will talk about things like reparations and why white supremacy is the enemy of all of us, why black folks need to disconnect themselves to some extent from the subservient role that we've taken in the white man's economic system. I will talk about that all day long. I'm not scared of white people. There are consequences though too, and this is why Obama can't really do this, right? The consequence is, if I ran for president, I would never be elected because white people would go back to look at those videos and say, "Oh, look at him, he's a racist," right? A lot of jobs, I probably couldn't get a job working for most white people. Most white universities wouldn't hire me, despite the fact my credentials were pretty good. I studied under some of the best financial scholars on the planet. And I'm not. You can look at my track record. Look at where it's really really hard to get a PhD in finance. It's like nuclear engineering or something. So my credentials are not bullshit. It's real stuff. But so the thing about it is that when you see the way politicians will address black folks. They address us as a disempowered minority group, as a group that we're blaming the quote-unquote victim. And I hate using the word victim because it has so many connotations, but we are victims of Jim Crow, victims of mass incarceration, victims of slavery, victims of all these things that have occurred, documented things that have occurred for which we deserve trillions in reparations. But people will blame us for the state of our existence, even though we know it's not our fault. We know that black people are not poor and incarcerated and going through hell because of stuff that we did. White people are the ones who dropped the crack cocaine and guns and all that stuff into black communities. White people are the ones who did the Jim Crow era or produced the whole Jim Crow era for 150 years where we couldn't advance in terms of wealth. We had no opportunities in terms of education. We couldn't even live where we wanted to live. White people are the ones who led to the enslavement of black people for 200-300 years. So, the only conclusion is that white people did it, right? And that reparations are due. Anybody who doesn't see that is probably ignorant of history. And the thing is too, but then there's this interesting thing about power, where power gives you kind of this ability to basically say, because I said so, right? Like when you were a child, your mother, you ask your mother, well, mama, why do I have to clean my room if he doesn't have to clean his room? And you might be right, but your mother will say, because I said so, right? Well, white people do that to black people. They look at you and you say, well, wait a minute, you did this to us, this to us, this to us, and this to us. Why don't we deserve reparations? And white people pretty much tell you because we said so, right? And President Obama pretty much works for those same people, which makes him to some extent a white supremacist. The white half of him, and it's funny, the Halfrican-American president, he is half black. The white side of him does work for the white supremacists of America because white supremacy is an important and fundamental part, or I would say important, but it's a significant part of what our country stands for. So you go deeper into Pastor Wright's quote. He also talks about sheepdogs in the black community. Sheepdogs being basically people that are trained. The analogy he's using are that you've got black people who are trained to fight other black people on behalf of white people, to kind of protect the white power class from black people who maybe are striving for equality or just decent treatment, etc. And is Obama in that category? Again, he's a politician. Politicians represent the interests of the people who are paying their bills. White people are paying Obama's bills. Therefore, he works on behalf of the interests of white people. Logical, natural, simple conclusion. Other interesting thing he mentioned, let me see. I like what he said about you're missing the point. Let's talk about white on black crime. Now, that's an interesting statement because on one hand, you could talk about white on black crime, like, racial violence and things like that, which is important. But there's a broader scope of white on black crime. A mass incarceration is white on black crime. When those all-white juries are sending otherwise productive, sometimes innocent, in many cases non-violent black men to prison for 100 years for possession of 2 or 3 grams of crack cocaine, that's white on black crime. When white prison guards or white white-run prisons are allowing black men to go to prison to be traumatized and raped and abused and tortured for many, many years. That's white on black crime. When black men are the most unemployed group of people in America, that is white on black crime. So, the thing about it is, and here's the thing, you won't really hear Obama talk about white on black crime. Now, the question becomes, why? Why is he not talking about it? Is it his job to talk about it? I think that there are a couple classes of black folks. There are black folks who say, no, it's not his job. It's our job to fix it. If we don't fix it, then why should we expect him to fix it? And I don't agree with that, but I understand where it's coming from to a point, in the sense that people are basically saying, again, what I was saying earlier, that politicians respond to the people who are paying their bills. Black people are not really paying Obama's bills. We did give him votes, though, which means he does owe us something. But people will only pay you they won't pay you what they know they owe you. They will pay you what you think they owe you. You understand? So Obama knows that a group that gives that much of the vote to him, that he owes a debt to those people, political debt. But the thing is, think about it when you owe somebody money. A lot of times, you're not going to walk up and voluntarily say, oh, you only asked for $200, but I actually owe you $1,000. Here's your whole $1,000, right? A lot of people ain't going to do that, right? Politicians certainly won't do that. What politicians will do is they'll say, oh, you think I only owe you $200? Okay, yeah. You know what? How about I give you $225? Is that not, in that way they're thinking, the other party's thinking, oh, he gave me an extra $25, when really he's thinking, man, I just got away with not paying them $775 that I can then use on other stuff, right? That's how political capital ends up working. So when you talk about Obama. So anyway, I mentioned there were two classes. So they're the people that kind of excuse Obama and the necessity of him as a black president doing things for black people, which is very interesting, because at that point I do wonder, what is your relevance as a black president? What makes you different from all the white people before you? I don't really see much, but unless you focus on the superficial, the beautiful wife and the beautiful children and the little black dog, okay. Fine. If that matters to you, then great. But I think that, for some of us, there are more relevant issues like the suffering, the deaths of our children, our fathers, our families being destroyed because so many hundreds of thousands of fathers, if not millions, are being locked into the criminal justice system. Those issues actually matter to me. So then there's the other class of people who expect a black president to earn his status as a black president. They expect him to get the adoration from black people because he deserves it, not just because he's black, not just because he seems cool, or because he goes to church and sings songs with the choir, or he can sing an Al Green song and sound really good. So there are those of us who are, I think, a little more serious about this, and then I think those of us who are complacent, and I think the complacency may either come from maybe these issues that I talk about don't affect you directly, so you don't care, or B, maybe it's a low self-esteem issue. I really do believe black people suffer from a self-esteem problem. We do think that we don't deserve as much. We don't think that we have the same rights as gay people to run up in the White House and be like, yo, you need to take care of us. We don't think we have the same rights as white people do to complain about 7% unemployment. When white people get 7-8% unemployment, they go insane. They lose their mind. Black people can have 14% unemployment and be ashamed to even ask for help. And so ultimately, is Jeremiah right about this? I dare people to prove that he's wrong. That's the thing. Here's the thing. When people get mad at a guy like Jeremiah Wright, here's what they do. They just get mad. They just say, oh, he's an old hating ass nigga, right? Or whatever. That's what they do. They come back and they just get mad. They just say, oh, he just hating. Or why don't he just shut up? And they don't really come back and say, okay, here's why Jeremiah Wright is wrong. They can't really do that. They can't come up with sort of fact-based, logical reasons that Jeremiah Wright's wrong. They can only get mad. And when somebody just gets mad and doesn't sort of provide a logical response to their or explanation for their anger, what they're saying, what they're doing is they're expressing what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. You're telling me to believe something that is so different from what I already believe that instead of actually dealing with that, I'm going to just get mad at you, right? It's like if I'm getting fat and I want to believe that I'm not fat, and you say, hey, boys, you're getting fat, then I might get mad at you for telling me the truth, right? So in many cases, people get angry because Jeremiah Wright is a truth teller. Jeremiah Wright, he responds to a power. It's a higher power. He responds to what he feels that God is telling him to do. I don't question his authenticity. I don't, because I love black people, because my self-esteem is very high when it comes to black people. I believe black lives matter at the highest level, that our children matter as much or more than everybody else's children. In fact, they matter more to me because I want to protect my community. I want my kids to have a better future than the past that I had. So, at the end of the day, I'm putting the interests of my community number one, first and foremost, no matter what. I don't care who we got to go to war with, who we have to, who gets mad at us. We're not going to sit around and wait for a permission slip from white people to love ourselves. That's stupid. That's ignorant. That's sad. So that's the position I'm going to come from. And when I come from that point of view, I hear what Jeremiah Wright says. What he's doing is he's holding anybody accountable to say, basically, look, if you want love, adoration, and support from black people, then you need to be putting energy into helping black people. Does Obama do that? I dare give me some evidence. Give me some evidence. It doesn't mean he's not doing anything. But then again, George Bush did stuff too. George Bush gave money to HBCUs. George Bush did a few things too. So the question is, how does he differ from a George Bush? How does he differ from a Bill Clinton? I don't really see much evidence. So anyway, feel free to let me know what you think. I say Jeremiah Wright. He's one thing you can say about the man is he's not afraid to say what's on his mind. That's not what you're going to get from most politicians, including your beloved president. So if you want truth, go listen to Jeremiah. If you want politics or you want something else, go listen to these politicians in Washington. I just think that the group as a collective are pretty much worthless for the American people, period. Not just for black people, but they're kind of abandoning the entire country. And really a lot of it's because this system within which we operate is so fundamentally flawed. So the way you were brainwashed as a child to believe that America's political system was created by these geniuses who were the most brilliant people ever, and also that's nonsense. That's I would say that's bullshit, but I'm not going to cuss anymore. It's silly. These were slaveholders who pretty much made laws that represented their own interests. They created a governmental system for a country that probably won't maintain its power for more than 100 or 200 years. In about 100 years from now, the United States will probably be a very different country because we are on a course for political self-destruction. And a lot of it's because the system was designed to not be very productive. And I don't see much help for our country. In fact, that's why at some point I actually might move. So anyway, take care. Don't forget, October 9th, Washington, D.C., Howard University Business School, 6 p.m., the Black Wealth Matters Forum. Go to theBlackWealthMattersForum.com if you want to RSVP. You have to RSVP for the event. So go to theBlackWealthMattersForum.com. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.